That night, the wind howled across the dunes, whispering through the endless white expanse like a voice carried from another world. I had been driving for hours, cutting through the vast emptiness of White Sands, New Mexico, my headlights barely illuminating the shifting landscape. Out here, in one of the most isolated places in the country, the silence had weight. It pressed against my ears, thick and heavy, broken only by the soft crunch of tires over sand. I wasn't supposed to be out this late. I knew better. The locals had their stories, warnings passed down from generation to generation. They talked about strange figures that roamed the desert at night, things that weren't human but knew how to wear human skin. I had laughed it off at first. I mean, how could something like that be real? Just another urban legend meant to scare outsiders. But the deeper I drove into the dunes, the more I started to feel it, that creeping sensation of being watched. I was alone. Or at least I thought I was. The plan had been simple. I wanted to camp overnight, take some long exposure shots of the stars, maybe even catch a glimpse of a meteor shower. White Sands was supposed to be one of the best places in the country for stargazing. But as I pulled off onto an unmarked dirt road, something in the air shifted. It was subtle at first, just a strange stillness like the land itself was holding its breath. Even the wind had stopped. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I hesitated with my hand on the gear shift. I should turn back. But I didn't. Instead, I pressed forward, telling myself I was being ridiculous. This was just an empty stretch of desert. Nothing more. I drove another half-mile before finally pulling over, stepping out into the cool night air. The sky overhead was breathtaking, millions of stars scattered across the heavens, clearer than I'd ever seen before. I set up my camera on the tripod, adjusting the settings for a long exposure. That's when I heard it. Voice. Faint, distant, almost swallowed by the wind. It was calling my name. Froze. The sound came from somewhere beyond the dunes, just out of sight. My heart pounded in my chest, every instinct screaming at me to get back in the car. But logic pushed back. Maybe it was just an echo. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. Then I heard it again, closer this time. And there was something wrong with it. It wasn't just a voice. It was my voice. Someone or something was mimicking me. A deep chill spread through my body as I slowly turned in the direction of the sound. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, but there was nothing there. Just shifting sand and the distant outline of the mountains. I swallowed hard, backing toward my car. The air felt thicker now, charged with an energy I couldn't explain. And then, just as I reached for the door handle, I saw movement. A figure stood at the edge of my vision, half hidden by the dunes. Too tall, too thin. Its posture unnatural, limbs slightly bent, like a marionette waiting for its strings to be pulled. My breath hitched. It was just standing there watching me. Then it took a step forward. I didn't wait. I yanked open the car door, throwing myself inside and locking it with shaking hands. My pulse thundered in my ears as I fumbled to start the engine. The headlights flared to life, cutting through the darkness. But the thing, it was gone. Vanished. I scanned the desert, my hands gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Nothing moved. Just an endless sea of pale sand, stretching in all directions. My mind was racing. Had I imagined it? Was this some kind of elaborate prank? I needed to leave. Slamming the car into reverse, I spun around, tires kicking up dust as I sped back toward the main road. But just as I rounded the bend, my headlights swept across something that made my blood run cold. It was standing in the middle of the road. No, not standing. Crawling. Its limbs were bent at impossible angles, fingers digging into the sand like claws. And its face. I never should have come here. Because now, whatever this thing was, it knew I had seen it. And it wasn't going to let me leave. My foot hovered over the gas pedal, my mind screaming at me to move, to get out of there as fast as possible. But I was frozen. The thing in the road was unlike anything I had ever seen. Its limbs twisted and contorted unnaturally, like a puppet with broken strings. Even from inside my car I could feel something was wrong. It wasn't just the way it moved, It was the way it felt. Like the air around it had changed, growing thick and heavy, pressing against my chest. My breathing was shallow, rapid. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my fingers ached. The thing didn't move toward me. It just crouched there, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, as if it was studying me. The headlights caught glimpses of its skin, stretched too tight over its body, too smooth, too pale. And then it did something that made my stomach drop. It smiled. Not a human smile. Not something meant for comfort. This was wrong. Its lips curled back too far, revealing teeth that were too sharp, too white. My entire body screamed to get away, but before I could react, the thing moved. Not like a person. Not even like an animal. One moment it was in the road, and the next it was gone, disappearing so fast that my mind struggled to process what had just happened. I slammed my foot on the gas, the tires kicking up dust as I tore down the road. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear anything else. I kept checking my rearview mirror, expecting to see it behind me, chasing me. But there was nothing. Just the desert stretching endlessly in the night. I didn't stop driving. Not for miles. Not until the lights of a small roadside gas station came into view. The place was barely more than a flickering neon sign and a single pump, but right now it might as well have been a sanctuary. I pulled in fast, parking under the yellow glow of the station lights, my hands still shaking as I cut the engine. For a few moments I just sat there trying to catch my breath, trying to convince myself that I hadn't just seen what I knew I had seen. But no matter how many times I tried to explain it away, I couldn't. That thing, whatever it was real. And worse, it had seen me. I stepped out of the car, my legs still wobbly, and made my way toward the station's tiny convenience store. The inside was dimly lit, stocked with dusty shelves of snacks and travel supplies. A small TV mounted in the corner played an old western on mute. The only other person in the store was the clerk. A middle-aged man in a worn flannel shirt, flipping through a magazine behind the counter. He barely looked up as I walked in. I hesitated near the entrance, suddenly unsure of what to do. What was I supposed to say? Hey, I just saw something impossible in the desert. Any chance you know what it was? Before I could talk myself out of it, I stepped up to the counter. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Weird question, but have you ever seen anything strange out near the dunes? Like, something that doesn't belong? The clerk finally looked up. His expression didn't change, but there was something in his eyes, something wary. He studied me for a long moment, then slowly closed his magazine. You're not from around here, are you? He asked. I shook my head. Just passing through. He exhaled through his nose like he'd heard this before. You saw something, didn't you? I hesitated. Yeah, I think I did. He nodded slowly, glancing toward the window, out into the dark. Did it talk to you? My stomach twisted. No, I said. But it made a sound. I swallowed. It used my voice. That made the clerk tense. His jaw tightened, and he leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. Listen to me, he said. Whatever you saw out there, it wasn't human. You get that, right? I felt a chill crawl up my spine. He nodded. The clerk exhaled. Good. Because some folks, they don't figure that out until it's too late. He paused, then added, You're lucky you didn't answer it. That sent a fresh wave of cold through me. What happens if you answer? The man didn't respond right away. He just looked at me like he was deciding whether or not to tell me. Then finally he said, It learns you. I frowned. What does that mean? Means it gets inside your head. Knows how to sound like you. How to be you. And if it wants to. It can take more than just your voice. A shiver ran down my spine. Has that happened to someone before? The clerk didn't answer. He just glanced toward the window again, as if expecting to see something out there. You should leave, he said finally. Tonight. Get as far from here as you can. I swallowed hard. That's the plan. But even as I said it, a horrible thought crept into my mind. What if it was already too late? What if it had followed me? I thanked the clerk and left, my hands still shaking as I got back into my car. The moment I locked the doors, I reached for my phone, flipping to the front camera to check my reflection, just to be sure. My own face stared back at me, pale and tense. But the longer I looked, the more unsettled I felt. Was it just my imagination, or did something seem off? My eyes lingered on my expression. I looked normal, but somehow I didn't feel normal. I tore my gaze away, throwing the car into reverse and speeding out of the lot. The highway stretched ahead of me, dark and empty, and I focused on nothing but getting as far away as possible. But as the miles rolled by, that uneasy feeling wouldn't go away. Because in the back of my mind, one thought kept repeating over and over. What if I hadn't escaped at all? What if it was still with me? What if somehow it was inside me now? The road stretched endlessly in front of me, my headlights cutting through the darkness, but no matter how fast I drove, the feeling wouldn't go away. That cold, creeping sensation, like something unseen, was still with me. I kept glancing at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a figure crouched in the back seat, its too wide grin waiting for me to notice. But the car was empty. At least it looked empty. I turned the radio on, hoping to break the silence. Static. I flipped through stations, but they were all the same. Just empty noise, broken only by occasional bursts of distorted voices. I turned it off, gripping the steering wheel tighter. I needed to focus. I needed to get out of here. The gas station clerk's words kept repeating in my head. It learns you. If it wants to. It can take more than just your voice. I shook my head, trying to push the thought away. That was ridiculous, right? It was me. I was still me. But then another thought surfaced, one that made my stomach twist. How would I even know if I wasn't? I pressed down on the gas, the speedometer climbing. The desert blurred past me, endless dunes fading into the night. My plan was simple. Drive until I reached a town, a city, anywhere with people. I didn't know why, but some deep, instinctual part of me believed that if I could just get somewhere crowded, I'd be safe. That was when I saw the lights. Faint at first, barely more than a glow on the horizon. My heart lifted slightly. Town. Civilization. But as I got closer, something about them felt wrong. They weren't the warm yellow of streetlights or the familiar neon glow of gas stations. They were pale, cold, flickering. A shiver ran down my spine. Still I pressed forward. The road curved slightly, leading me toward the source of the lights, and as I came around the bend, my breath caught in my throat. The town was empty. Not just quiet, deserted. Buildings stood hollow and dark, their windows like black holes. The pale lights that had drawn me in flickered weakly from old street lamps, casting long, distorted shadows across the pavement. My stomach twisted. Something was off. I slowed the car, my headlights sweeping over abandoned storefronts, cracked sidewalks. No cars, no people, no signs of life. It was like the entire town had been forgotten. I should have turned around. I knew I should have turned around. But something made me keep going, creeping forward down the main street, my heart pounding against my ribs. Then I saw movement. A shadow flickered at the edge of my vision, something shifting just beyond the glow of the streetlights. My breath caught. I hit the brakes, my eyes darting across the empty town. Nothing. The road stretched ahead, silent and still. I swallowed hard. I was letting my paranoia get the best of me. I just needed to. The sound came suddenly, sharp and jarring against the quiet. Knock. My blood turned to ice. It was coming from inside the car. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Slowly, my trembling hand reached for my phone, turning the front camera on again. And my heart stopped. There was someone sitting in the back seat. No, not someone. Something. The reflection wasn't right. The shape was wrong. Its head was tilted too far, its limbs too long. And the smile, too wide, too sharp, stretching impossibly across its face. But the worst part had my face. My stomach lurched. I spun around, my breath caught in my throat. There was nothing there. The back seat was empty. I gasped for air, my entire body shaking. My phone slipped from my hands, landing somewhere on the floor. I didn't care. I needed to go. Slamming the car into reverse, I spun the wheel hard, tires screeching as I turned back the way I came. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't check my surroundings. I just drove, pushing the speedometer higher and higher, my pulse thundering in my ears. The town disappeared behind me, swallowed by the night. But even as I put miles between me and that place, the fear didn't fade. Because I knew deep down that I wasn't alone. That thing, it was still with me. And it wasn't going to let me go. The road was endless, stretching into the dark like a tunnel with no way out. My fingers were clenched so tight around the steering wheel that they ached, but I couldn't let go. I couldn't slow down. Every shadow in my headlights twisted into something unnatural, and every time I blinked I feared that thing, me but not me, would be there when I opened my eyes again. My breath was ragged, uneven. The air in the car felt heavy, pressing against my skin, filling my lungs with something thick and wrong. I kept my gaze locked on the road, refusing to check the mirror again. I knew what I'd seen, and I wasn't about to look again. But then, soft, almost too quiet to hear over the rush of wind against my car, a whisper. My voice. "Why are you running?" A chill crawled up my spine. My knuckles went white against the wheel. I swallowed, trying to ignore it. It wasn't real. Couldn't be real. But then again, you know I'm still here. The breath hitched in my throat. My vision blurred for half a second, fear creeping into my veins like ice water. The voice was so close, too close, as if someone was leaning right next to my ear. I slammed the radio on, twisting the volume knob to full blast. Music burst from the speakers, an old rock song distorted by static, but I didn't care. Anything to drown it out. Anything to keep me from hearing. "You can't ignore me." My pulse spiked. I gritted my teeth, pressing harder on the gas. The speedometer climbed past 80. "You're wasting your time." I let out a shaky breath, staring hard at the road. I wouldn't answer. That was what the clerk had said. Don't answer it. Don't let it learn you. But then the voice changed. It didn't just whisper anymore. It laughed. A slow, crawling chuckle that sent a shiver through every nerve in my body. "You already let me in." My stomach turned. I kept driving, but my hands were slick against the wheel now, my breathing shallow. I could feel something shift in the air, like the pressure in the car had changed. And then my headlights flickered. For a brief second everything went dark. My breath caught, my foot jerking against the pedal. The lights came back on just as suddenly, but now, standing in the middle of the road. Figure. My tires screamed as I swerved. The car lurched sideways, the back wheels skidding as I fought to keep control. The figure barely moved, standing motionless in the beams of my headlights. But as I passed, I caught a glimpse of it. It was me. Well, not me. The same face. The same eyes. But hollow. Well, its grin stretched too far, its body standing at an unnatural angle. And as I sped past, it lifted its hand in a slow, deliberate wave. I didn't stop. I couldn't. The road twisted beneath my tires, and I fought to keep the car straight, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. I didn't dare look back. I couldn't. But in the corner of my eye, I saw something in the rearview mirror. The figure, not standing in the road anymore, sitting in my back seat. I gasped, my hands jerking the wheel. The car swerved wildly, tires kicking up dirt as I lost control. My stomach lurched as the vehicle spun, the world tilting in a blur of motion. Then impact. The sound of crunching metal. The violent jolt as the car slammed into something solid. My head snapped forward, the seatbelt digging into my chest. Glass shattered. The world tilted sideways. Silence. For a long moment I didn't move. My breath came in short, painful gasps. My vision blurred, disoriented from the impact. The car had stopped, the front end buried in the rocky desert off the side of the road. Slowly I lifted my head. The headlights were still on, flickering weakly. The windshield was cracked, spiderweb fractures splitting across the glass. Dust swirled in the beams of light, and beyond it, the night stretched endlessly. I swallowed, my pulse still pounding in my ears. My hands trembled as I reached for the door handle, fumbling until it finally clicked open. The door groaned as I pushed it, my body protesting every movement as I stumbled out into the open air. The desert was silent. No wind, no sound. Just the low hum of the engine still running, its broken rhythm barely audible. And then, the soft crunch of footsteps froze. The sound came from behind me, low, measured, like someone was walking through the sand, approaching carefully. I turned my head, and there, standing just at the edge of the headlights, the other me. Its grin stretched even wider now, its dark, hollow eyes locked onto mine. It took another step forward, its head tilting in that same unnatural way. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then it spoke. But this time it didn't whisper. It spoke in my voice, perfectly, flawlessly. "Where are you going?" And as it stepped closer, the last shred of denial vanished. It wasn't just mimicking me. It was becoming me. I took a step back, my legs shaking, breath shallow. The thing that looked like me, too much like me, stood there, its head tilted, its grin stretched too wide. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run, but my feet wouldn't move. Took another step forward. "Where are you going?" it repeated, my own voice twisting into something unnatural, something wrong. I couldn't answer. Wouldn't. The gas station clerk's warning echoed in my mind. Don't talk to it, don't let it learn you. But it was too late for that, wasn't it? My head was spinning. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. I had crashed my car in the middle of nowhere, and now I was standing face to face with myself. Or something pretending to be me. Then it laughed. Low at first, like it was testing the sound, then louder, until it echoed across the empty desert. Sounded so much like me that it made my stomach twist. And then it stopped, just like that. The silence rushed back in, thick and heavy. "You're wasting time." Spoke again, voice calm now. "You don't understand yet, do you?" My mouth was dry, my mind racing. I still didn't move, too afraid that any sudden motion would set something off, something I wouldn't be able to stop. And then, took another step forward, but this time something changed. Its body twitched, just for a second. A flicker, a distortion like a glitch in a video. And then its face. It wasn't mine anymore. Not completely. The features shifted. Subtle at first, then more noticeable. The curve of the jaw, the slope of the nose, small things. But the eyes weren't mine anymore. They were someone else's. Someone I didn't recognize. I sucked in a sharp breath. It wasn't just mimicking me. It had mimicked others before me. A realization crashed into me like a wave, sending a chill through my entire body. This thing had done this before. Had stolen voices, faces. How many people had stood here before me? How many had run? How many had disappeared? My mind reeled. Was this why the town was empty? Had they all seen this thing? Had they all? "You're starting to get it now." Its voice was softer now, almost amused. Like it was enjoying this. My stomach twisted. I needed to move. Needed to do something. I forced my foot back just a single step, but the moment I did, moved too. The same time. Perfectly in sync. Like a reflection in a mirror. I swallowed hard, every nerve in my body screaming. The sound of another set of footsteps. Behind me. My chest tightened. I turned my head just slightly. Just enough to glance over my shoulder. And my blood ran cold. There was another one. Standing a few feet behind me, half hidden in the shadows. And it looked exactly like me. Two of them. Both wearing my face. Both watching me. I felt lightheaded, my vision tunneling. "What's wrong?" the first one asked, its voice teasing now. "You don't like what you see." The second one grinned wider. "We do." I staggered back, my body reacting before my brain could catch up. My foot slipped on the loose sand, but I didn't fall. I didn't have time to. Because as soon as I moved, so did they. the same time. Perfectly synchronized. Like two reflections breaking free from the mirror. I turned and ran. My legs burned, my lungs ached, but I didn't stop. I didn't dare look back. The desert stretched ahead of me, endless and unforgiving, but I didn't care. I just needed to get away. But then, the sound of footsteps. Not mine. And they were keeping up. They weren't just following me. They were mirroring me. Every step. Every movement. Perfectly. Panic clawed at my throat. I didn't understand. I didn't want to understand. I just wanted to wake up. To make this stop. And then, just as suddenly as it started, the footsteps stopped. I ran a few more steps before I noticed. My body finally registering the silence. My breath came in ragged gasps. My legs shook. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to know. But something in me needed to see. Slowly, hesitantly I turned. They were gone. The desert was empty. No figures. No movement. Nothing. Like they had never been there at all. I stood there, panting, my body trembling from exhaustion and fear. My head spun. My ears rang. Had I imagined it? Had I lost my mind? But then, something whispered. Not from behind me. Not from the desert. But from inside me. See you soon. And in that moment I knew. I hadn't escaped. I had never been running from it. Had been running with me. And it was still there. I couldn't breathe. The thing in front of me, the other me, took another step closer, its bare feet sinking into the sand. The headlights cast its shadow long and distorted, stretching across the desert like something not entirely human. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, my mind screaming at me to run, to move, to do something, but I was frozen. Where are you going? It asked again, tilting its head. Its voice was mine, but not. There was something hollow behind it, like it was trying too hard to sound real. I forced myself to take a step back, my legs shaking. You're not me, I whispered, barely able to hear my own voice. It smiled wider, impossibly wide. Aren't I? Then it moved. Fast. Too fast. 1 second it was a few feet away, and the next it was right there. I stumbled backward, barely dodging as its hand shot out, fingers stretching too long, grasping for me. I hit the ground hard, sand kicking up around me, but I didn't stop. I scrambled back, my hands clawing at the dirt as I tried to get away. My car, my wrecked, useless car, was just a few feet away. I had no plan, no weapon, nothing to fight with. But I had to do something. The thing crouched low, its head tilting as it watched me. Then something changed. Its smile faded. Its face twitched, as if it were struggling, like its features were shifting. And that's when I realized. It wasn't just trying to look like me. It was still becoming me. The more I panicked, the more it learned. My breath caught. The gas station clerk's words came rushing back. It learns you. If it wants to. It can take more than just your voice. It wanted more. I gritted my teeth, my whole body trembling. If this thing fed off my fear, then I had one chance. I took a deep breath. And I stopped being afraid. The thing twitched again, its body jerking slightly, as if confused. Its black eyes locked onto mine, searching for something. I stared back. I didn't flinch. I didn't let my breath hitch. I didn't let the terror inside me show. Even though my heart was still racing, I forced my body to go still. The thing hesitated. Then I saw it. Flicker. A brief, fleeting moment where its form wavered, like a glitch in reality. The shape of my face twisted, its jaw shuddering as if it wasn't quite sure if it was supposed to keep mimicking me. It was working. I pushed myself up slowly, never breaking eye contact. My fingers curled into fists, my breathing deep and even. I would not let it take me. You're not real, I said, my voice steady. You're nothing. The thing twitched again. Its form rippled, flickering between me and something else. Something shapeless, something wrong. Its skin grew paler, its limbs too long, its grin stretching unnaturally again. And then it screamed. A horrible, shrieking wail that made my skin crawl, echoing through the desert like a dying animal. It stumbled backward, its body convulsing, as if my words had broken something. Its black eyes flashed with something like rage. Then, before I could move, ran. Not toward me. Way. Its form blurred, twisting as it sprinted into the darkness, its limbs bending unnaturally as it disappeared into the dunes. I stood there, frozen, my entire body shaking. The night was silent again. The only sound was my ragged breathing and the distant hum of my car's flickering engine. It was gone. I had won. Or at least I thought I had. I turned back toward my car, my hands still trembling as I reached for the door. The windshield was shattered, the front was crumpled against a rock, but maybe, just maybe, it could still run. I slid into the driver's seat, gripping the wheel with weak fingers. The engine stuttered, struggling, but then, miraculously, it coughed to life. Relief flooded through me. I shifted into drive, pressing my foot against the pedal. The car lurched forward, the tires crunching against the sand as I pulled back onto the road. I didn't look back. I just drove. Mile after mile, the desert stretched behind me. The town was long gone, nothing but a bad memory. The sky began to lighten at the horizon, hints of dawn creeping in. The nightmare was over, or so I thought, because just as I reached the edge of civilization, just as the neon lights of a distant gas station flickered into view, my phone buzzed. Text message. From my number. I swallowed hard, my fingers shaking as I picked it up. My breath caught in my throat as I read the message. You let me go too soon. My hands went numb as I stared at the screen. The message, those 5 simple words, felt heavier than they should have, sinking into my chest like a stone. I read them again, over and over, hoping they would somehow change. You let me go too soon. I didn't respond. I didn't dare respond. My body tensed, waiting for something to happen, for the air around me to shift like it had back in the desert. But nothing came. The night was still. The road stretched ahead, leading me toward the safety of city lights in the distance. Forcing my breathing to steady, I turned my phone off and tossed it onto the passenger seat. Maybe it was a trick. Maybe it was my mind playing games with me, lingering fear twisting into paranoia. Maybe the nightmare really was over, and this was just its shadow trying to haunt me. Kept driving. The gas station ahead was like a beacon, glowing against the dark. I pulled into the lot, my fingers still tight around the wheel, as if letting go would somehow unravel reality all over again. My car rattled, its engine barely holding on, but it had made it. I had made it. The station was mostly empty except for a single attendant inside, leaning against the counter, flipping through a magazine. I stepped out of the car, my legs stiff, my mind still running through everything that had happened. As I reached the door, my reflection caught my eye in the glass. For a moment I hesitated. My own face stared back at me, tired, worn, but mine. No twisted grin. No hollow black eyes. Just me. I exhaled slowly and stepped inside. The clerk glanced up. He was younger, maybe in his early 20s, with a tired expression and dark circles under his eyes. Rough night, he asked, raising an eyebrow. You have no idea, I muttered, heading straight for the fridge in the back. I grabbed a bottle of water, the cold sinking into my fingers, grounding me for the first time in hours. When I walked back to the counter, the clerk was still watching me. Not in a suspicious way, but in a way that made me think he knew something. Where you coming from? He asked casually, ringing up my drink. I hesitated. White Sands. His hands froze mid-scan. For a second there was silence. Then, slowly he put the bottle down and looked at me, really looked at me. You see something out there. My throat went dry. I thought about lying. About brushing it off, paying for my drink, and leaving. But something in his tone, in the way his fingers tapped nervously against the counter, made me stop. You've heard stories, haven't you? I said instead. He nodded slowly. Yeah. And I've seen things too. I swallowed. Like what? He exhaled, glancing toward the windows as if expecting something, or someone to be watching. When he spoke, his voice was quieter. People come through here sometimes, looking like they've seen a ghost. Some of them don't even make it this far. They stop in the middle of nowhere, disappear. Cars found abandoned. No signs of struggle. Just gone. He rubbed a hand over his face. And then there's the ones who make it out. Like you. They always look off. A chill crawled up my spine. What do you mean? The clerk studied me. His gaze flickering over my face as if searching for something. They just don't seem right. Like they're missing something, or maybe they brought something back with them. I clenched my jaw, my fingers tightening around the water bottle. I wanted to tell him I was fine. That whatever I'd seen, whatever had chased me through the desert, was gone. But then my phone buzzed again. The sound sent a jolt through me. I pulled it from my pocket, my stomach twisting. Another message. Turn around. My breath caught. I didn't move. The clerk saw the look on my face and frowned. You okay, man? Slowly, I turned my head toward the glass door, my heart hammering. And there, standing just outside, bathed in the sickly glow of the gas station lights, was me. Or what was left of it. Its grin was gone now, replaced by something even worse. An expression of hollow patience, as if it had been waiting for me to understand. To realize that it never left. That it had followed me. My stomach dropped. The thing raised a hand. Wave. The same slow, deliberate wave it had given me on the road. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Then, in a blink, it was gone. The glass reflected only my own pale, shaken face. I stumbled back, nearly knocking over a rack of snacks. My pulse was hammering in my skull, my vision swimming. What's wrong? The clerk asked, stepping toward me. I couldn't answer. I didn't know what to say. Because deep down I already knew the truth. I had escaped the desert. I had outrun the thing that had tried to take my face, my voice, myself. But I had made a mistake. I had let it go too soon. And now, it wasn't trying to become me anymore. It already was.